Hello and welcome back to my channel. Last time I made a video and I had a comment requesting that I look more into the views of Naz Shah. So this is what I am doing. For those of you who do not know who Naz Shah is, this is Naz Shah. She is the MP, the Labour MP for Bradford West. But most of you will know her for her comments on Twitter regarding the grooming gang scandals, where she said that the victims should shut up for the sake of diversity. I wanted to look at other things that she has done and how she has reacted towards them. So, let's get into it.
Mr. Speaker, can I seek your advice on how I can express my deep sorrow for something the Prime Minister referred to earlier? As you know, if a government minister makes a mistake, they can correct the record. I hope you will allow me to say that I fully acknowledge that I have made mistakes, and I wholeheartedly apologise to this House for the words I used before I became a member. I accept and understand that the words I used caused upset and hurt to the Jewish community, and I deeply regret that. Anti-Semitism is racism, full stop. As an MP, I will do everything in my power to build relations between Muslims, Jews, and people of different faiths and none. I am grateful and very thankful for the support and advice I have received from many Jewish friends and colleagues, advice I intend to act upon. I truly regret what I did, and I sincerely hope that this House will accept my profound apology.
Now I know what you're wondering. What could she have done to have her apologise in the House of Commons like that? Well, she posted on her Facebook this image. It is the solution for the Israel-Palestine conflict. Relocate Israel into the United States. Obviously, many Jewish people and many non-Jewish people see this as anti-Semitic, just a little bit. Highlights, what does it say? Israelis are most loved by Americans. Americans will welcome Israelis with open arms into their homes. Anecdotal, I don't think you could prove that. America has plenty of land to accommodate Israel as its 51st state. Israel can have a real, safe Jewish state surrounded by friendly states. Right, so that's the problem. All of the states around Israel at the moment don't like Israel. I see. America will no longer have to spend $3 billion taxpayer money per year for Israelis' defense. Well, maybe if all of the other countries wanted to destroy Israel, maybe they wouldn't have to do that in the first place. But yeah, you get it. It's just a horrible thing to post, and it makes no sense, and basically you could take it as her saying that Jewish people have no right to be in the Middle East. You could say that. But if you wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt, you have to address that the man that made that post, that original picture, is a man by the name of Norman Finkelstein, I believe you pronounce his last name. He is a American Jewish man who commentates very heavily on the Israeli and Palestinian situation. I don't know too much about him, so I'm not going to comment much, but I know that he has sympathized somewhat with Hezbollah and Hamas, and if you did not know, the leader of Hezbollah said that he hopes that all Jewish people would gather in Israel so that he doesn't have to hunt them down worldwide. So sounds like a lovely bloke. Another thing that she has done that could be considered anti-Semitic to some. In July 2014, at the height of the Gaza conflict, Ms. Shah posted a link on Facebook to a newspaper poll asking whether Israel had committed war crimes. She wrote, "The Jews are rallying to the poll," and then called on people to vote yes. So she wanted people to vote yes, Israel had committed war crimes. Quite interestingly, the Labour Party responded to this on her behalf. In a statement issued by Labour, she said, "This post from 2 years ago was made before I was an MP." so I guess that forgives it. Does not reflect my views, and I apologise for any offence it has caused. So I'm assuming that these are the reasons why she was apologising to her peers in the House of Commons. So, but we have more. We have more things that we can talk about that she has done wrong, I guess. She posted this. A tribute to Winnie Mandela. Whatever your views are on Winnie Mandela, right now, it's not really what I'm going after. It's just what was posted, really. It was a picture of Winnie, and together, her speech where she writes, "Together, hand in hand, with our matches and our necklaces, we shall liberate this country." Now, that was one of the most controversial speeches that she ever gave in her life, and it's because it supported necklacing. If you don't know what necklacing is, then necklacing is the practice of I'm awful at reading. Extrajudicial summary execution and torture carried out by forcing a rubber tyre filled with petrol around a victim's chest and arms and setting it on fire. The victim may take up to 20 minutes to die, suffering severe burns in the process. Yeah, it probably wasn't a great idea to post that. I'm not saying that Naz Shah supports necklacing, but she definitely should have known better than to post probably the most controversial speech that Winnie Mandela ever gave. But she took this down. Rather than apologising for it, she just took it down and posted this instead. R.I.P. Winnie Mandela, South African anti-apartheid campaigner, dies. And then she put a link to a BBC website, and that's the website. So, a lot less controversial. And I'm not going to go through the website, but obviously she knew she did wrong. Rather than apologising, she felt like just brushing it off. But there's more that we can still talk about that Naz Shah has to answer for, in my opinion. So I'm going to play a clip of her talking, and then I am going to give my 2 cents.
Sharia itself is a code of conduct, and the fundamental principle of Sharia is that the law of the land precedes anything, takes precedent. You cannot enforce and have a second parallel legal system in this country. As a British lawmaker, I am very clear we have one law, and that law is that of the British courts. There is no courts or no parallel legal system in place. The Sharia is there to support women and communities to things that they want to access, and that's a choice for them. As a Muslim woman, for me, it's important when I marry, if I have a nikah as well as my British marriage, it gives you added. It's like it's like people living together, in terms of nikahs. It's like it's not a parallel legal system. I do not have that concern. I do have a concern around discrimination. I do have a concern around it being run for men, and whether we have safeguarding in there, whether we have laypersons in there, and that would be a much better situation where we had people who were on those panels who were women. Absolutely, we need to change what is happening, but I'm not convinced that this is a parallel legal system.
So it sounds to me like she's very, very much defending Sharia law. And she talks about that it's only there for what communities want and supports them. What if the community wants to execute gays, which is allowed under Sharia? It ends up becoming a parallel legal system. And she said that there's only one law of the land. So why need it? Why should we have these Sharia councils? If law of the land comes first, then there's no need for them. They don't need to exist. I'd really like to ask her, and ask people to ask her, would she like Sharia law in Britain? Be an interesting question. But there's another clip that I'm going to play of her talking about it as well.
What we need to be doing is supporting the Sharia councils, because we've had so many Sharia councils that sometimes last resorts where people have lost the legal aid, we've had austerity kicking in, and the courts don't want to deal with small disputes. So they can act as a complementary arbitration service. But what we need to be careful of is that whether they are discriminating against women, and that is where the issue lies, in particular around divorce.
So she argues that we should support Sharia councils because what she's implying is they can take the small disputes that the bigger the bigger courts don't need to worry about then. But what happens when something is settled in, say, British common law court, but somebody's not happy with it, so they go to a Sharia court and then it goes in their favour? This is why it cannot be implemented and it cannot be allowed. It needs to just be one law of the land for everyone. If you don't like it, go live in a country that's got Sharia, but don't try and change it. So I believe that she needs to address a few of them things. I think she needs to say publicly that Sharia will never be compatible with the UK, because it just never will. The idea that it will is silly. As I've just pointed out in one of what I said previously, what happens when somebody goes to a British common law court and it doesn't go in their favour, so they go to a Sharia court? What happens? It's too complicated. One legal system for all. That's what it should be. And we know that she doesn't mind apologising when it's affecting her political career. So I want to see how she quote-unquote apologised for what happened with her tweet regarding the grooming gangs. To try and address the growing calls for Shah to resign or be punished for this error of judgment, her spokesperson said, "This was a genuine accident 8 days ago that was rectified within minutes. To suggest otherwise is absolute nonsense." It's not nonsense. She retweeted it, and anybody that knows, when you retweet, you have to click twice to confirm it. So she knew what she was doing. She supported the statement, is what I'm saying, by retweeting it. Her record speaks for itself. Naz has been working for over 20 years on issues of child abuse, violence against women and grooming, which is well documented. Well, it's well documented within Easy Meat that Bradford had known about it for ages and nothing fucking happened. So she's done a shit job if she's been working against it. Maybe she's been working on the other side to cover it up. She has and will continue to advocate for all victims and work towards eradicating this evil from society. She's doing a shit job, and that's a shit apology, and she should do a proper apology or get the fuck out.